Back here to talk about Rooster Fighter Episode 8 with the one and only.
Cameron Thomas funny clips.
I do apologize, we are re-recording this due to some interference. But, what were your thoughts about this episode?
Fantastic episode as always, but as we all know, this episode was really heavy hitting, I will say. Uh, with Kizuki, I really think this character's like really good, in my opinion. And as we go on with this opening scene, this is actually an opening scene to the opening scene of the chapter that was the secondary chapter of this that is adapting in this episode, which seems kind of strange for me, but in the end, it's all right. But as we go along with this scene, there was something that was cut out, and what was originally going to happen is that it leaves off of a cliffhanger on the last chapter where he literally says, "Okay, I'll tell you everything." And he starts off from the very beginning. And I do like how the first part of this episode actually shows the first part of the story, making us have less time for him to explain everything that has happened. And while this scene is pretty funny, it does have a Pete joke that was cut out of it. And it was a joke that was pretty much showing that, well, Kenji's father is just like his son. And Elizabeth literally interrupts him and says, "Well, like father, like son." And Kenji is like, "Are you kidding me?" And while that happens, it is funny, but it does show that they are willing to change some things about the episodes if it's getting too jokery and out of place. They'll sacrifice these jokes for good storytelling, which is something that most writers in anything have to face always when making a story. I know for a fact with movies and stuff, they usually have like a really good scene, but it takes up too much of the film where they have to cut it out and replace it with something even better. And you, who knows, this might have been just something that they was like, this over explains things, and we're just going to end up like what Jujutsu Kaisen gets really bad with, where they over explain things and everything, and where you kind of lose track of everything. And then the next episode, they get on to what happens of what they just explained, and you're like, wait, that they explained that? Did they? I'm confused. And usually people trying to watch Toonami on this show, they're trying to turn off their brain off and everything. If you really think about it, most people turn on TV to relax and turn off their brain, especially when they're watching cable and everything. And I really think this was a good route to go in. As for the rest of the episode, next up that happens is that Kyoko had a scene cut out at the very beginning, as you can see, where Kenji literally is doing his push-ups with a boulder, testing his strength. Kyoko is literally sad, missing Pops, and she says that poor Pops, I really miss him. And she thinks about what the advice he said, where he said, make sure you eat up, little one. I want you to grow up big and strong. And it hits hard of my heart that the scene got cut out. But in the end, who knows if this was a good idea or not? Because it does. It's a very, very small scene, but as we've seen with this writer, the very, very small scenes are usually the really, really big parts of the series. Let's not forget the really small moment where, like, episode 3, where Elizabeth literally shows her phone and says some demons are actually really good, and it shows like a octopus looking demon putting out a fire. We see that demon in this episode later on, and it's small references like that that we see later on in the series, and I really feel like this could bite them back in the butt once the manga gets to that point where they want to reference that scene and pop something really bad happened to Pops, because as we know, the last time we saw Pops, he was a demon and he transformed, and Kyoko's the only way Kyoko could save him was by relieving the stress and actually really making him have the heart he used to have and show him that there is still good inside of you, Pops, and I know the person you really are. This is not you. And I really hope that I'm wrong about this, and who knows, maybe the creator even forgot about this scene and just thought it was just a scene he could use later on in the series or what. But I highly doubt that, because as we saw with the last episode, they literally said that there was this woman that came in that literally said Pyoko had, oh, watch out for this little one, that she has good potential. And that will become a big thing in the current art we are in the manga. And I really feel like this is a really poor excuse for that. But who knows? Maybe they can adapt this scene somewhere along the line in like a season 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
But as we move along, we get to know more about Kizuki's past and everything. And this was probably the scene where I was so confused about, because as we know, the beginning factor, when I saw that they're doing the whole backstory, I was like, okay, so he's not going to tell Kenji, like, what is going on? And later on, we do see that it was just showing the first half of the whole backstory. And as he's explaining his father, when he said half brother, I was like, okay, they actually wanted to keep it a mystery. And I'm the idiot that thought they were going the route where he was actually going to be blood related to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say they did change the backstory, which I was semi right. So I'm not the idiot y'all think I am. So here's what they did. So in the manga, all we see from Kenji is the scene where his father leaves him. That's it. And of course, we get like, there is like a scene like early on in the series, which pretty much foreshadows way early on, where him and Sarah find this chicken with a weird afro, and he's like, "Hey, you want to play?" And then, of course, Kenji's like, "What? No, no, we don't. You're a whole stranger, and we don't really know you." And of course, he's trying to protect Sarah and everything. And they just ran away but Sarah wanted to play with him. But of course, Kenji, he can't trust anyone. That was his rule back then. And this was kind of like foreshadow, but his dad was not in the picture. I like how this scene shows it better, where it's pre Kenji before Sarah is born, where he's searching for his father, and then he sees him with another child with another woman. She committed adultery against his current wife, and it pretty much shows that his father is just like Kenji, and if Kenji's not careful, he could become his father and end up in that situation. And I've always wondered this, and this might be at the very end of the series, to be honest with you, but we barely ever see whatever happened to that hen from the very first episode, from when Kenji left her and said, "My animal instincts kicked in." And then he comes back and
Oh, yeah.
she's with another dude. But if you remember, she's kind of pregnant with Kenji's son or daughter. We don't know which one. And when I saw that, I was like, dude, what if we actually do see a moment where we actually see them, that his own son comes back and wants revenge for him. And he acts like how Kenji did to his father. And he literally says in the episode that his father killed his mother, which is kind of true. He left her to die. She got sick, and she used all of her energy just to hatch Sarah. And the one thing I thought was kind of weird is that his dad leaves during the winter season, and then she's born in the spring season. In this version, it looked like he left in the spring season and she was born in the summer season. I don't know why they had to change the setting, but really it's not that big of a deal in my opinion. Although it really just shows that they're willing to adapt this a little further. And not only that, after this, we actually get to see that Kenji really at first did not like how Sarah was born, how he's taking care of the child that his father should be taken care of. And I actually do like that. But in the manga, what's interesting about all this is that we don't see him actually adapt to Sarah, and they didn't do this in the anime either. So who knows if we'll ever see that? But who knows? It could come up in a flashback because Kenji has those nightmares anyway. So we could see a nightmare sequence like we did with the last episode, where he wakes up from a nightmare that of his past of Sarah's death. And I actually do think that might happen at some point, where he regrets that he hated her at first, and then eventually they actually grew a strong bond with each other. And next, I'll say, is where we get the awesome Rooster fight. And let me tell you, how they did it in the manga, it is so well drawn. I just love how they do these action scenes and everything. Later on in the manga, at first, we just get chickens just standing there shooting blast out of their mouth. But later on in the series, we start getting this fast paced martial arts action. And as we get closer to more to the current state, we see Kenji pretty much throwing hands left and right. And this is literally our first glance of what Kenji can do without using his hidden power. And I fully believe that at some point we will see, him defending Sarah, and he had to learn martial arts however he had to learn them. I really think we should see how he learned these martial arts moves, because I really feel like, what if his dad taught him? Because his moves is just as much as um, Kizuki, but the thing about Kizuki is that he's more skilled at martial arts, and this is where my theory comes in, where as Kenji father left him, he used more time to train Kizuki than what Kenji got. And this is why Kizuki is so much stronger than Kenji. And I actually do think this could eventually come back to us in the manga, but we haven't got there yet. And I do like how this fight was really choreographed. It really felt like I was watching a classic shonen anime series, like I was watching Dragon Ball or Naruto, and just felt like a little kid in the moment where I'm watching Toonami at night and I see the awesomeness that is just shown on screen. We all had that moment when we first turned on Toonami when we were little kids. And now, as adults, we kind of don't get that feeling anymore because we've seen so many shows on Toonami. Let's just be honest. Those older shows, they for some reason the animation just hit harder than the newer ones do at times. But this really did make me feel like the old school type series that we were missing from Toonami. And I know due to like uh, business reasons and everything like that, they can't get certain anime. But at the end of the day, I do really like how choreographed this series really is when it really goes all in on the animation. And not only that, I hate people saying, "Oh, oh, I absolutely hate the CGI." I don't care what you say. The CGI on this fight scene was 10 times better than Ninja Kamui. I just said
it was
it.
epic. It was epic.
And it was fast paced action. It wasn't slow at all. And it really felt like, oh, we were progressing in the CG business. I've seen so many CG anime and they're so laggy at times where they barely even feel that nice fast paced choreograph we see in the 2D style. And I think we're getting to the point where we actually are getting really good CG shows that are just as superior as the 2D ones. Now, I won't say that the animation is as well choreographed as something like Chainsaw Man Raise Arc movie or something like Dandadan Season 2. I'm not saying that. Those are more way choreographed, but this really just felt like they were trying to make it feel like the old school anime style of what you used to do when we turned everything on Saturday night and just sat down, got our popcorn, and watched some Toonami. And I really do like that feeling that I felt rushing back to me. And of course, after that, I did like how they actually allowed Kizuki into the group. And I do like how they explain it where, you know, Kenji may hate his father. He's just going to help anyone at this point because he knows it's the right thing to do. If this was Kenji from the beginning of the series, I guarantee you he would have turned down Kizuki immediately or tried to kill him at some point because he's just a reminder of his father's past mistakes and the downfall that actually happened. And you can actually see how Kenji is way more jealous of Kizuki because, like, he's just like his father, just having animal instincts, and he's in love with Elizabeth, just like Kenji, even though he won't admit it. We all know he's thinking about it.
True.
And honestly, while Kizuki was doing this, it was really funny just seeing how well they adapted the one-on-one brother rivalry that they have with each other. And I just love how faithful this adaptation really is with these two. Like, honestly, there was no better actor than these two characters. They cooked with the chemistry with these two actors as a whole because I don't think the progression of the voice would have worked with the two characters. The way they talk to each other would have worked if they got someone different. I don't know anyone that could have been better than the two actors that they picked for these two characters. And it was a really good thing that they did. And after that, we see that they take Kizuki on his journey to find his father because it's the only way to stop them is by getting some backup. And I do really like how great this sequence is where they see this demon and they're about to destroy it, but then all of a sudden, Elizabeth says, "Wait, stop. Don't kill it. This is one of the good demons." And I will say, I do like how these devils are able to control and manipulate these demons to become more berserk than what they already are. We already saw that some of these demons were like way too hard for some of these fights, and some of them really were pretty cool of how they found a way to destroy them because they always get destroyed in unique ways. I like how we have gotten the power levels risen up where they're way stronger than the chickens now. And now the only way is to get them back to their normal selves. And they're just going after these random demons that are just roaming around the city. And I do like how Elizabeth was the one to show off that she knows how to stop a demon without killing it. And that's really what shows how useful her character is. While Kenji only knows how to stop a demon by killing it. And it really just shows you the difference in all their fighting moves. Kizuki is very cocky. Kenji won't let anyone get in his way. And then Elizabeth wants to find different ways to solve the demon problems. And this goes back to her character development that she said that she only wanted to kill the bad demons and save the good demons. And I do like how this story continues on to do that. And while I do think they got the perfect actor for the dad, I will say he is barely in the manga, and I am wondering if there will be added scenes to the adaptation where we get more ways where we see him actually try to spill the beans, but really not. And I don't know what we could do with him, but I think at some point we could see him kind of regret um, getting rid of Kenji or whatever. But who knows? This is an adaptation, not a full on one type of deal. But I do like how they kept the devil scenes perfect and menacing and everything. Like, honestly, the tension in those scenes were just perfect. Like, I don't know any scenes that of this show so far that have been this tension packed like what the devil's scenes have done. Even when the girl devil's scene first showed up, she was she had so much tension from the from the beginning she was shown in, and it just shows you that from the very beginning these devils just have so much aura that cannot just be replicated in just any anime pretty much. And it's really hard to keep up that momentum, but this writer is just a phenomenal writer that he can do pretty much anything he puts his mind to. And as we do see this, we actually do hear that something's up with Mario. And that's where the next episode begins.
That'd be a good one. I feel like it's gonna be a really good episode next.
Yeah, because I will say that episode is going to be pretty emotional because Kenji will have to find a way to get Mario back to normal, but he does not know much about these demons. All he knows is to kill them, and that's how you do it.
Yeah, they seem pretty alike, and the brother's like a crane, but he seems well trained compared to KG just from what we saw. And it almost seems like they're either gonna get defeated or something's gonna happen to where they're gonna have to get stronger anyway. Um, yeah, Pyoko eventually will probably have some sort of arc with her and Pops, and she'll just go into that Super Saiyan mode we kind of saw earlier. Maybe
Yeah,
conquer something
definitely.
crazy. That could be what's gonna happen, and you're talking about even the son. That would make a lot of sense if KG did have a son, and then out of nowhere he just shows up in the series like, "Hey, you're my dad. I challenge you to a
Yeah,
battle."
I could see him as like the fifth and final character that joins the group because
Ooh,
honestly, I don't see the dad showing up as like the fifth and final character because as we've seen him before, he is not that strong as it is. He is past his prime. He is really old, and he's a a big horn dog, if, as we can see, and he he really is out of place at this point where he's at like Jiraiya, where while he is really powerful, he's just not as powerful as these other characters, and his instincts just overtake his character growth, where he just focused more on that than anything else.
yeah, like I was just thinking he could, the son could be working with the demons or the devils even, and that's how they kind of have to interact. Is some sort of conflict type of thing, where just all goes down.
Not only that, you can think about if you really think about it. They're all over the internet and everything.
Yeah,
He could see it on like the news or something and be like, "So the how I can get my dad to actually fight me is by joining these demons." And then he realizes, "Wait, I'm for the evil. My dad is actually a good guy," and he's confused because he was kind of betrayed, and his mother took it the wrong way and probably told them the story in her perspective, which, as we know, she thought he ditched her, even though he actually really did like her. If you really think about it, because he actually came back, he cared to come back and actually see if he could have a life, and then he was like, well, seems like I'm really not that kind of chicken.
dang.
But it's really interesting of what could happen, and who knows, maybe his the other rooster could that is his stepfather really could be the a big villain to show up at some point. Like
Could
I
be.
can actually see that happening too, where he kind of thinks it's Kenji's fault for making his wife go into a demon. Like we've seen this happen before, where these chickens, once something terrible happens to them, they hold a huge grudge. That it happens to pretty much all of them, almost. We see it with Elizabeth. We see it with Kenji. We see it with Kyoko. We see it with all of them pretty much, where when something bad happens to in their life, they hold that grudge forever. And I think that's kind of set up for what's to come. And I really hope we get to that point. If not, it will be a whole big missed opportunity from the actual creator of the show and manga. And I'm just going to be like, well, you should have got me to help you write it. I'm just saying, because I'm coming up with all these ideas in this video right here.
He might have an idea. I mean, like, he can even kill off the father for all we know, and the only person to know everything that the father could ever do is the son of KG, which would be insane.
Yeah. I do think we are gonna end this off on a high note with like KG saving his father, and I don't really. I will say, since it's been forever since I've read the manga,
Yeah,
I don't remember if he saved his father or if he failed, and that's what makes him go through the training arc because it's been forever since then. I finished it right before the first episode of the whole manga before the first episode premiered. It's been forever,
oh god.
and I'll have to. Like I'm actually rereading the chapters before the next episode, and that's pretty much what I'm doing now. And uh, and I'm even finding things that I didn't notice when I first read them that I'm noticing in the anime. And that's just cool about this story is that no matter how many times you rewatch it, you notice things from the beginning. And that's what I like about this story the most is that it's very rewatchable to catch things that you missed the first time.
Yeah. I haven't read it, but from watching it so far, it seems like there's a lot of things kind of hidden there off and on. And you can kind of read into things even. They did throw in that thing with Pyokyo, and actually Pyokyo's gonna absolutely have a crazy arc coming up. Um,
Definitely, yeah.
But when I look at the episode, it felt very fast, which means it's good. You know, usually if you're watching an episode and it ends really quick, you enjoyed it. It was good. That's all I can say about it. There's some good action. There's some new enemies, and I'm pretty sure that they're about to have a good throwdown with those devils and demons. I don't know. I assume that they're gonna have to defeat the demons throughout time to free them, and that's like their new sub objective, and their main objective is killing all the devils. And it seems like a system sort of like Demon Slayer esque, if that is kind of a good comparison. Except I don't think there's a hierarchy to it, but these are like high ranking demons that turned into the devils. I think kind of we're still getting to the power system. We'll get to it eventually, I presume.
Yeah, once you think you've known it all, he just throws more lore into it, and I just like how it's just never-ending lore, and who knows if this lore is ever going to end? Because as this manga keeps on going, I just keep finding new things that he just keeps on introducing, and it's just insane to me that he can come up with fresh ideas for the lore. And while other long ongoing series like Naruto and Dragon Ball, they stick to the status quo and don't elevate the lore. And that's just really cool to me that such a small series can be able to do that, while these really big series can hardly do that. And it seems like we're just at the tip of the iceberg with those series.
Oh, I know this is random. It's kind of out of place. I was going to tell you about this. So, yesterday was Free Comic Book Day, and there was like a really hot book, but it has to do with an animated series. I don't know if you know about this or not. Let's see. This is called Dungeon Fighter Carl.
Okay.
So this is going to be a series that is going to be adapted by Seth MacFarlane for Peacock, and it's going to be animated. And it's about this like dude and a cat. It's like his girlfriend's cat, and he gets stuck inside of a dungeon with it, and he has to like climb up it. It's gonna be pretty fun.
Oh, that is insane. I never thought Seth MacFarlane would do a action type series.
It's gonna be goofy because I think it's sort of like a bee and puppy cat situation, but it's gonna have action aspects to it.
Yeah, yeah,
So I thought I might throw that in there. I thought it was a pretty cool news
yeah,
thing. Yeah, it was fun. I picked up a few things today. They had some Avatar and random stuff like that. Besides that,
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna get back to the main objective, Rooster Fighter Episode 8. What would you rate this episode?
I definitely would rate this one a of 9.8. And that's mostly because I will say the whole saving this demon type thing kind of takes away the emotional factor that the first half had. And it kind of feels like we shift the emotion too much. And I really think we could have lived with just a one chapter type episode where we could have like an emotional factor episode where you're literally feeling bad for Kizuki because he just really wants to be accepted by Keiji. But at the same time, you do feel what Keiji felt when he says of what happened to his mom.
Oh yeah.
And I think if you had that for the entire episode, no jokes, just full on emotion and just full on depth to it, it could have been a more developed potential 10 out of 10 episode where I could see some people saying, oh, this is peak. You should watch it at least to this point. And
Yeah.
you know, because we have series like My Hero Academia and Naruto doing these emotional type episodes where we see these characters die, or when we see like traumatic events happen. Like we feel bad. It's better when we feel bad for these characters because it makes us be more invested in these characters. And I feel like we could have gotten something a little bit better that could have been superior to the manga by a really deep diving in the chapter and overtaking it to the bigger emotional factor to the series. It, would it feel out of place? Probably, probably not. But at the end of the day, most series need that depth that is needed. And while they did do that depth, I think it could have been a little more deeper.
Oh yeah, but I felt like in a way they were trying to like split it. And I was starting to think about what you said, and we go back to Pyoko and Pop's turning. She kind of like had her whole backstory and her like emotional roller coaster type of episode. Same thing with Elizabeth, and I think in this one they were trying to highlight the new character especially, but they also wanted to give us the backstory about Keiji and give him a dramatic backstory as well.
Yeah, it was just so many things at all at once, and I can understand them. They're wanting to adapt this other chapter. That way we can see more of Kizuki's type of moves and everything. Like you kind of want to see how this chicken actually fights compared to Keiji, but you never know. It could have been just a thing where since we did two chapters for the other episodes, we have to do two chapters for this episode, type of deal. Kind of like how One Piece has a rule where they can only adapt one chapter per episode.
Hey, they got to tell that story. It's kind of done all right, but essentially it does become like where you stand it and you have to go back and put in a lot of like, oh, flashback scene here, back to back to back to back, because there's so much going on. This
Yeah,
series, you're able to move pretty fast with it. You can do some flashbacks because it's gonna be necessary. And like you said, they're gonna add stuff in like nightmares and so on. So you're probably not gonna lose many scenes from the manga anyway. Maybe just not in the
yeah,
spots.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
um if I had to rate this episode, I'm gonna give it a 9.1. I still like this. I feel like it's a strong series. As far as Toonami, it's still so far one of their better ones out of all of them. Obviously, I wish Ninja Kamui could have done more because it would be still on top. I feel like it just needed more episodes, sadly. But here we got the brilliant hot series that everyone's trying to do is this action comedy and it's like family oriented type of stuff. This is something you kind of see as like a Rooster family at this point, and they all kind of have their own little roles. So I do
yeah,
love it.
exactly.
So I do love it. There was some good action, and I was gonna say something earlier. Last night you were referencing the fight between the two brothers like it's Sasuke versus Naruto.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
Yep.
I thought it was really good. That was a really good comparison. It did really feel like that. So there's gonna be some competition now. That it's not gonna just be um, KG leading the way, there's going to be some heads bearing each other, and Elizabeth is going to have to anchor everyone down.
I mean, if you also think about it, if you really watch the fight scene really closely, it's almost like the actual manga make creator actually was trying to do a a Naruto reference to how that first part of the story ended with Sasuke versus Naruto and how they were bouncing from platform to platform, kicking each other, hitting each other, everything. And it was just so fast paced and everything. And it's almost like they were trying to copy that almost, which I think that's pretty cool because that's one of the peak scenes of the original Naruto, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, one of my most ingrained ones was whenever I think they got hurt, and on the rooftop of the like medical place, that's where you see like Sasuke use the Chidori and Naruto do his Rasengan, and we get to see them both make impacts. They don't hit each other because I think Kakashi comes in the middle, and they could have killed each other,
Yeah,
which is kind of like a. It's crazy because in the future that all kind of goes down to where they look. I don't want to spoil it, but it's crazy how much it just shows what they were going to do in the future. But it kind of felt
yeah.
like there was that competition thing going on. I liked it. I did like it. I thought it was cool. I thought it's good for the series.
Heck, if we even think about it, Naruto's aura when he goes uses his nine tailed fox, it's red aura. Sasuke's is blue aura.
Hmm.
And these two chickens, red and blue.
Red and blue.
I'm just saying.
Yes, they all kind of like team colors. I wonder if Elizabeth is also going to be having some specific color too to kind of give them their own thing or not. They all have a little bit of an aura, kind of like the Power Rangers type of deal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's I like this series. I think it's pretty sweet. It's fun. It is pretty exciting.
And it's fun to speculate too. That's another thing that is really fun about it.
Yeah, like I do think for the second season, whatever happens, they're gonna try and do quite a bit, but they'll probably just do another 12 episodes like this season, most likely.
Yeah. I did hear somewhere that we could get like 13 episodes. Yeah.
Uh, I want to know what you guys' thoughts are on Rooster Fighter episode 8. Well, we want to know. My bad. My bad. Until next time, guys, I hope you guys stay safe. Oh, wait, I hope you guys stay. I'm so bad. I hope you guys stay safe. Until next time, peace out, guys.
Peace out.